Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Erin Hynum, and this is the webinar on DryLINK asset tracking, which is kind of exciting for me. This is the first webinar that I'm doing on this new product, which will be launching soon. We'll wait for just a second here and see if a few more people are just joining up. Okay, a little bit about me. 12 years with Thermistore, mostly with Phoenix. I'm currently the Senior Director of Product Management, and really I have a passion for everything DryLINK, including asset tracking. Okay, so I'd like to start out, and I like to do these webinars by talking about problems that we're going to solve with the solution that we're proposing. So with asset tracking, obviously a big one being reduce lost equipment, but there are a number of other things that we can help with. One of those just is reducing your overall inventory management costs. Everything on this website was designed to be able to view things at a glance and see where your equipment is located and what's available. You can also reduce unpaid site visits. And what I mean by that is with unpaid site visits, today, if you don't lose your equipment, at the very best, maybe you find out it's at a job that you thought it was at, and now somebody has to go there to get that piece of equipment. Well, we're going to show you how asset tracking can notify you right away so that you can retrieve any equipment that was left behind, and so that you can reduce the amount of time that you're driving around looking for equipment. And then as far as visibility of your vehicles, this is just included in this program. We're going to update your vehicle locations every 15 minutes while they're being driven around, so that can be useful. You can also potentially reduce equipment rental costs, especially in a large event. If you can easily see where all your available equipment is, you can reduce your need to actually rent equipment. Deploying assets effectively. We've had contractors tell us, hey, this is great. We might get a storage locker type of rental in strategic locations in a larger city so that we can be more effective in how we're deploying our assets. And then in major vehicle or trailer theft, now, while we can't guarantee a recovery, we can tell you this. If the gateway is in there, we're going to be pinging every 15 minutes where it's going until somebody disables it. And then with all of our items used in asset tracking, anytime somebody has the DryLINK app open and gets near any of this equipment, we will read that. Even if they're not the owners of the equipment, we will read that equipment and update the GPS location. So there's a chance that you can recover lost equipment. The more people using DryLINK, the more likely that is. You can reduce asset overbuys. So sometimes in an event, people just start buying equipment because they're not exactly sure what they have or where, and we can help reduce that. And then you can help differentiate rented versus owned equipment pretty easily when your stuff is all tagged up. Okay, now I want to show you the items that are involved in the system here. Whoops. And it's pretty straightforward. You have these devices, mainly the dry tag that is going to be transmitting. So the dry tag goes on equipment. When you turn on the equipment, it sends a signal every 10 seconds. And that's so that it can be used easily in DryLINK. But for asset tracking, even when it's off, every minute it's sending out information about what it is and where it is. And the gateway is going to read this information. Now, the dry tag RH is also an asset tracking beacon. So the dry tag RH is what you would use on a non-smart dehumidifier. So like an R250 or a competitor's dehumidifier, you put this on the inside of the outlet grill and it has temperature and RH, so it'll stream information, make it a smart dehumidifier, but the rest of it will also do the asset tracking function just like the normal dry tag. And it does have the accelerometer in it as well, so if the equipment is turned off, we do know about that. And then as far as on the receiving side, you can see there's this gateway. This is the main part of the asset tracking system, is this gateway. You would put a gateway in your warehouses and in your vehicles to receive information and transmit that information to our cloud. This gateway it's recommended that this is hardwired into your vehicle. There's a few ways to do that. You can do it through a splitter that plugs into the port where the diagnostics is. It doesn't interfere with the diagnostics. It allows for the diagnostics to happen just as normal. It's just tapping into the power. You can also use a 12-volt power port as long as it goes on and off with the switch of turning the vehicle on and off. Now, it can run off of battery power. It has a 3-year battery life on its own, but it's intended to be hardwired to the vehicles so that it can do things like scan the vehicle as soon as you turn it on and as soon as it's turned off. The gateway comes with an antenna. It's not showing all the connections here. It comes with an antenna there's one antenna on the gateway itself for reading the Bluetooth devices. And that antenna needs to be located where the Bluetooth devices are. Then you run the power obviously to the power of the vehicle. And then there's the antenna for GPS and cellular. And the GPS has to have line of sight to satellites. So it's recommended that that is sitting in the dash and getting access through the windshield. Now, so that's the gateway. You can actually use this gateway as a standalone gateway. For example, if you have a large loss deployment, maybe you have some sort of temporary warehouse, you can just name it something and use it on battery power. It does come with a button, so even when used on battery power, you can push the button at any time and it'll scan everything and update your inventory. This over here is the dry phone. The dry phone is meant for on the job site awareness. Now, it's not required to do asset tracking, but if you want to know if equipment is turned off, and also if you have a dry phone on the site and somebody took a piece of equipment off of that job site, we would know within 15 minutes, within a 15-minute window, when it was taken off the job site. Now, we wouldn't necessarily know where they took it, but we would know when they took it off the job site. So the dry phone is optional, but very useful for on-the-job awareness of equipment. Okay, now this screen, we're just going to show you kind of some of the basic things that we cover. So, you put a gateway here in your main warehouse. Here we're showing other offsite storage with no power. You can run off of battery power. You get a reading every 4 hours, or you can push the button at any time to get an updated reading. Here we're showing a tractor trailer. We actually have a kit that adds 2 additional antennas, Bluetooth antennas. So there's 3 spaced the length of this semi, and we have tested a semi just packed full of equipment, and we can read all of it at the same time using Bluetooth. So you can use it for large loss deployments. Now, you would also have gateways in your vehicles. And so when equipment goes into a vehicle, it'll now be read by the vehicle gateway. When equipment goes on the job, if you're using DryLINK, now we know this is on this particular job. If you put a piece of equipment in a crawl space, we know for sure it's on the crawl space, and we can identify it and its location. And when you set up a job in DryLINK, we make this geofence around the job. Now, when the vehicle drives outside of the geofence, that's when we can compare what is on your vehicle versus what you had on the job. And if anything is missing, we can let you know about that. I can see we just had a question come in. I appreciate it. Please ask the questions as we go along. I do have Brandon Titus from our sales department. It's going to help me out with all the questions, and he'll read those to me. Brandon, if it's something that you need to interrupt because it's timely, certainly go ahead. Otherwise, we'll answer these at the end if they're not. So this is what this whole setup looks like, just basically to give you an idea. And now I want to show you, and I am going to show you this actually on a live version, but I just want to walk through the different views and keep in mind this whole idea of at a glance. Now this is a customer that's given us permission. This is actually Putman Restoration out of Shreveport. You can see they have 1,345 pieces of equipment in here. They've got 24 jobs running. I'm on the Asset Manager tab. This is in our web portal, and I'm going to show you this. And you'll see that I can click right here. We've selected the home office, and we have this available tab selected. So in the home office right now, we've got 60 air movers, 11 DHUs, 11 other category, and 2 air scrubbers. And you can click through all of your different locations. This is showing a vehicle where this is located. And this is just giving you an at a glance. This is the map view. Now I'm going to show you next the table view. There's 3 views. There's a map view, there's a table view, and then there's the detail or list view, which gives you by serial number each piece of equipment. And you can see that we have, on one side, we have locations that you can select. So we have warehouses, jobs. This would be standalone gateways. And unnamed, I know this shows 71. This is still beta testing. Unnamed means, like, let's say you closed a job, but you left a piece of equipment there. It would show up in an unnamed location. It used to be a job. We know where it is. We'll show it to you on a map, but it's not a job anymore. So that's what that is. And these are the vehicles. And then we have equipment status. So what does that mean? Well, we can have available equipment on the job. We can have missing equipment by a certain amount of days, and then inactive equipment. And then you can search for any of these different fields to find various equipment that we're looking for. Okay, the next view is called the table view. So now we have this same company, and now we're looking at these 4 locations again. Here's the home office, and now we're breaking it out by Xactimate category. And you can see that axial air movers, they have 60 at the home office, 39 in this T7 trailer, and 45 in this T9 trailer. And then, there's all these different Xactimate categories for the amount of equipment that we have available. Now, you can actually add your own columns here. We just do it by Xactimate category, but you could add in a column that's called ladders, and you could put dry tags on ladders, and it'll show you where your ladders are. So that's another function of this, is that you can customize columns to make it suit your needs. Now this is the list view. Now this, if you go to the web portal today, you'll have access to an equipment tab, but it won't have all of this information. This is more information that you get if you're doing asset tracking. And you can see that you're going to get, by serial number, each unit, what it is, the battery life on the dry tag UUID, where it is, it's on the job, its current status. You can click a map on each individual piece and see where it is. So this is all extra stuff that you get with asset tracking, and this is the detailed list view. So again, we have the map, the table, and the list view. Now, I want to talk about some ways that we're different from systems that you might see. First of all, gateways can be run off of battery power. That means readings when vehicles are off or in a non-powered storage situation. We have that multi-antenna kit for semi-trailers, which can be used for large loss, which is very important for some people that have that much equipment. The mobile gateway can be used as a standalone gateway and just run off of battery power. And again, it has a button. You can take an inventory snapshot of anything nearby at any time that you want to. Equipment is added to the job in DryLINK for more precise usage. So tracking and reporting. So in our system, if you're using DryLINK, you're going to have verified runtime of that equipment, because remember, it has an accelerometer and that beacon. And you're going to have the GPS location, which is verified through the phone that's running DryLINK. So you have this verified information, which insurance companies would be happy to know that this is verified information. Our drying report automatically lists the equipment used, the serial numbers. There's no manual scanning between two reports to send in your equipment usage. Jobs are closed and removed from the locations in asset tracking, so there's no clutter from all these different stops that might be used on other systems. Again, our tags have that accelerometer to inform contractors if equipment is turned off or how long it has been run. We have one system to learn asset tracking, remote monitoring, and job site data collection. And at Phoenix, being an equipment manufacturer, we knew, number one, we can build this into our equipment, but number two, we made sure that you can use it on anybody's equipment. So that's one system for all this. You can filter to show available equipment by location and status for new jobs so that you can quickly see what you have available to handle a new job and where that equipment is. We have that more robust asset details page, which I showed you. That's the list view. And then, we're building our asset tracking into our dehumidifiers and air movers. So AirMax BLE, it's already built in. The beacon's there. All you have to do is pull the battery tab. In the future, you're going to see that our dehumidifiers, instead of having to add today, even if you have DryMax or DryMax XL, DryMax BLE or DryMax XL, you do have to add the dry tag so that for asset tracking, because the Bluetooth isn't active when it's not plugged in. Now, in the future, you're going to see we're going to add that into our dehumidifiers. So instead of buying a dry tag, all you'll do is add 2 AA batteries to your dehumidifier, and it will do asset tracking even when it's turned off. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to actually the live website. Now, this is not complete yet. However, it has enough to show you. What I don't have is the list view. So here is that same company. This is a live view, and you can see that we have the warehouse and 3 vehicles. So they have one vehicle. Not sure if somebody's having breakfast down here at the Waffle House or what's going on. I can click on any one. There's 13 air movers and one other piece of equipment on this vehicle. I can scroll back up here. Here's if I zoom in to this is just their warehouse, and you can see 2 of their trucks are there. Again, you get this at a glance view, 76 air move. So here's all the information of what's right now in the warehouse. And here's their other 2 vehicles that are still at the warehouse here, their trailers, and what they have on them. And you can see that, when we're doing that, it's highlighting. Like if I wanted to see one of them over here, I can just say, hey, I want to see the rig. It zooms in. The rig is right here, 13 air movers and one other. And we have all these different filters. If I wanted to add some jobs into the situation, you can see where they've been doing jobs. I could zoom in and see if they have any remaining. This one, for some reason, has 1 air mover on that job, and that job is still open. And again, you have all these ways of searching for equipment. And then now I'll take the jobs back off, but I'm going to switch to that table view that I showed you. And you can see that here it is live. It's giving me the Xactimate columns. You can see how it highlights things, so it's easier to read. By the way, in all these views, you're going to be able to export to CSV. So you get an Excel view, and you can, manipulate this data however you want in Excel. So that's just another added feature that we have for you. Okay, now I'm going to go into, so this is the Asset Manager tab. If you log into our web portal today, you won't see the Asset Manager tab. But when we launch, if you sign up for asset tracking, this will be live. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you in the Settings tab how you would add a gateway. So what you do is go to Locations here. You can see they've added their warehouse. But down here is where we have the gateways. Now we're doing testing. These 2 are not active right now, but these 4 are what I showed you. They called this shop, and that's actually just their warehouse. And then here's these 3 gateways that are reporting in. This one might be off a battery. You can see the last time they reported in. We can click on a map on any one of these. It's going to show us where it is. and we can see the last read time and all that information. Now, while I'm in here, I might as well show you. This is an easy way. This is where you would get started with setting up your team in DryLINK. It's easier to do it on the web portal. The web portal can be accessed at usedrylink.com. You log in with your same DryLINK credentials to get in here, and you can just, you can see that their team is already set up. You can invite your team. You just click invite new users. You have technicians and admins. The owner should be doing this, and you can add, you can just use a comma to separate and add all your technicians in one email and then all your admins in one email. And then they'll get a link to download DryLINK and set up, and they'll be in your company so they can see all of your information. So that's what that looks like. There's a lot of other things you can do in the settings tab. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the presentation mode. And what I'm going to do is just talk about what our anticipated pricing is going to be for this and our anticipated launch date, so you have an idea. We wanted to make this affordable for the masses here. So our anticipated launch date is April 1st. Of course, we're still working through things that could change, but that's what we're hoping for. And you can see that we've priced it in a way that we hope is affordable for just about everybody. 0 to 999 assets, it's $99 a month. Now, there is another charge, and that is for the gateways, because the gateways are using cellular data and GPS information. So it's $30 per month per gateway plus this charge here. So you can, think about what you have for vehicles and warehouses, and then you'll be able to understand what the pricing is going to look like. You can see it goes up, obviously, if people have more assets. Now, here's something we want to point out. DryLINK is going to be included in the price for free. So there's not going to be this idea of $5 per job. If you get asset tracking, DryLINK is included in this pricing. So I wanted you to be aware of that. Okay, now this says anticipated component pricing. I mean, DryTag and DryTag RH, they're already set. DryTag, this is the MSRP. People are going to need higher quantities of these. We obviously offer quantity breaks for this. But here's some new items. This is the part that's anticipated pricing. Gateways will be $399 each. And this kit for semis will be $199 each. And this is our anticipated pricing. Now, I want to talk about some considerations to think about if you're thinking about getting into asset tracking. One of those would be the numbering scheme. Now, many people already have a numbering scheme and you have it visible on your assets, but this is going to be important. You're going to want to have this visible in some manner on your assets so it's easy to know what assets we're looking at. Another thing you're going to want to know is how many tags do you need? So, and one way to think about that is like, basically everything is going to need a DryTag or a DryTag RH. So what doesn't have that today, that's how many tags you're going to need. And then how many gateways? For gateways, you're going to think about warehouses and vehicles, and you're going to think about how many of those of each of you have, and that will tell you how many gateways that you would need to install. And then asset importing into DryLINK. I just want to point out for people that have large numbers of assets that we do have an Excel file that we can send to you with some basic columns to fill out, and we can import that into your DryLINK account so that you don't have to spend the time adding, like, let's say 800 pieces of equipment. It could be, time consuming and cumbersome. You still would have to do it on a spreadsheet, but it's probably a lot faster that way. Then you want to think, are you going to use dry phones on the job? It really does add a lot of value that you're going to see on the web portal where you can make use of this remote monitoring by using dry phones, but it also adds to your asset tracking. So you just want to think about that. Are you going to do that? And if you are, how many jobs do you have running at one time? And that will tell you, how many dry phones you need. Now, if you're doing commercial jobs, you probably want to talk to us. You are going to need more than one dry phone on a job if you're doing commercial jobs. The good part about that is the benefits scale. So, I mean, if you're doing a commercial job, you're going to get huge benefits from being able to take readings like with the click of a button versus walking the entire job to take those readings. Then think about setting up your employees in DryLINK, and like I showed, using that web portal to get everybody set up. You got to make sure everybody's in the same company. Sometimes we have a situation where you get a new DryMax XL and somebody in the company is like, oh cool, it's got Bluetooth, and they set up a company and they play around. Well, now they've claimed the equipment. It's easy enough to straighten all that out. All you have to do is get the owner to set up a company and invite anybody that's already set up a company to the owner's company, and any equipment they claimed will come with them into the owner's company. And you can contact our team if you need help with that. But getting your company set up is important. And then what do you want to tag? Like, there might be things you're not thinking of, like ladders, floor drying systems, meters. You might want to think about it. You can always add to the items that you've tagged, but it's something to think about. Okay, so now what I want to do with a little bit of the remaining time is I just want to show you, because DryLINK is included for free, in case people are not familiar, I'm just going to briefly go over what all you can do here. So here's the DryLINK ecosystem. This is representing a technician's phone showing up at the job site, receiving all this information. We've got DryMax XL reporting in. We've got DryTag, which is built into, this is called AirMax BLE. This is sending Bluetooth. You can see you can put the DryTag on competitors' equipment. It's reporting in. And then the dry phone is meant for remote monitoring, and it goes in place when the technician leaves. That's when you would leave it behind. It's not mandatory, but it is for remote monitoring. It adds a lot of awesome functionality. Then we're showing the DryMax. DryMax BLE is ready to go. If you have an older DryMax, there's a display board that we sell. It's really 4 screws, 5 connectors, and you're all set with your older DryMaxes. Then we have the DryTag RH. Really, with DryLINK, you want to automate everything. So this allows you to do affected area, unaffected area, HVAC, and you can put it on non-smart dehumidifiers, even competitors, or like R250 or things from Phoenix that don't have this. You take off the outlet grill, zip tie this on here. Now you got asset tracking and temp and RH from the outlet of that dehumidifier. And then this is DrySense. This is an important one, does moisture content sensing, and you use screws to go into the harder materials. And all the atmospheric readings, especially if you have a dry phone on site, you're getting 96 a day. You're getting 24 a day of these. The only guy that doesn't have memory today is DryTag RH, and we will be updating that in the near future. That's what the system looks like, the DryLINK system. I just want to show you the power. This is on the web portal. So look at this. This is, you could flip through your jobs and look at, here's all your affected area readings every 15 minutes, showing the progress of the job. Now, this is something people aren't used to seeing because we only take 1 or 2 readings a day. But this is really powerful when you show an adjuster all this information that you have. And it's really powerful for a contractor to know what's going on in the job site. I could, use this information to better prioritize the work that my technicians are doing. This also shows you on the web portal, and look at this. This is one individual dehumidifier. And you can see I don't even have the temperature out and the RH out selected, but you can select whatever it is that you want to see from any one individual dehumidifier. And then this is showing you, for labor shortages, if you're doing remote monitoring, well, with our system, you can take readings instantly. You can take readings remotely if you have dry phone. And look at this, you can even schedule readings. This is showing scheduling readings with a dry phone on site. You don't even have to take the readings. And also prioritizing visits based on remote readings and monitoring all jobs for issues. and getting paid more quickly. You have these verified readings directly from sensors, verified equipment usage, verified equipment location. These are things contractors are telling us that they're getting paid more quickly because of this. Same thing with haircuts to your invoices. Because of the verified readings, because of the quantity of data, they're getting less haircuts as a result. And then also just wanted to point this out. Our IICRC equipment recommendations are active. In other words, it's Bluetooth equipment, so we know what you put on the job. It's not just somebody telling you what they put on the job. So we can advise your technician in real time, and you can actually see remotely, did they put the right amount of equipment on the job? Because I want to maximize my revenue and I want to dry the job properly. And I can view this in the app and on the web portal. And then this is just showing you the integrations we have available. We have an integration with Encircle. We have an integration with, with Crawford. We're accepted by the Crawford network in case you're doing TPA work. Restoration Manager, we have a full integration. Exact Analysis. E3 should be launching in probably about a month. Exact Scope will be coming this year. This is going to be awesome. iRestore should be in about a month as well. And we have others coming. So this is just helping you to get data where it needs to go without having to double enter items. Okay. And with that, I'm going to see if Brandon can let me know if we have any additional questions. And while we're doing that, I am going to move to the contact information page so everybody has access to this information. Keith Ostley is the DryLINK sales manager and is really great at teaching DryLINK and helping you with anything DryLINK related. And this is my contact information up there. So with that, Brandon, do we have any questions that I could help answer here?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, could you address the gateway arrival and departure scans? What that's like? What happens there?
Yeah. So what happens is when the vehicle is turned on or turned off, we initiate a scan, and the scan takes a few minutes to complete. I would say it takes about 5 minutes to scan the truck, but it takes 10 or 15 minutes to show up on the website. But what that's doing is it's getting information from every single device on that vehicle. And what we want to do with the job sites is complete that scan as soon as we're outside the geofence, actually. And that's so that we can compare the equipment on the truck and make sure that nothing was left behind. And so what also happens is, just so people are aware, with these Bluetooth beacons, if you do park two vehicles right next to each other, you may get some what we call crosstalk, and where it could be that it's not 100% accurate of which is on which vehicle. And when you start up the truck and drive away and we do the scan, it will now be 100% accurate. So that's another reason for that. Same thing when you turn the truck off. Hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah, that's great. Appreciate it. Another question that came in was the range of the antennas. Can you talk to the range of the antennas and the gateways a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we have been really surprised that in an open warehouse, we've done some really big warehouses. I mean, I would say hundreds of feet in every direction. It's been quite amazing. Now, if you have a concrete room where you keep your inventory, well, that might cause a problem. So we haven't, that might require its own gateway. But in general, we have yet to have a warehouse. Now we're still, in the early stages of beta testing, but we've yet to have a warehouse that needed two. And so it was range of the gateway, right? I mean, because there's also dry phone. That's a different topic, but
yeah, range of the antennas for the gateways.
It's hundreds of feet is what we've seen. It's good to get them up high in the warehouse. They have to be plugged in, but the range is quite good. I also want to point out that at least for now, we don't have a specific warehouse gateway, so you need cellular signal wherever you locate in your warehouse as well. And I mean, the gateway has cellular, but it needs to be able to connect. It's on the Verizon network. And so in the future state, we are going to launch a gateway specifically for warehouses that can be put on Wi-Fi. And then you won't have to worry about that.
Awesome. Also related to the antennas, the question is, you mentioned 3 antennas for the trailers. Does the $399 include that, or is each antenna $199?
No, I didn't do a good job of explaining that. The gateways are $399 and come with 1 antenna. The kit is meant for semis, and the kit is $199, and you get 2 additional antennas to cover a 53-foot trailer. 1 antenna can do about a 30-foot box truck.
Okay. Let's see here. There were a couple of other questions. Let's see. Can you address a little bit more the integrations, specifically planned potential integrations? And then there was a question more specifically about asset tracking linking with Xactimate. And so maybe you could address a little bit about how the integrations work.
Yeah, well, there's a number of them. A lot of the integrations, like I'll just take Encircle. The Encircle integration right now is if you have a job in Encircle, you can push one, individual jobs or all jobs into DryLINK, and then DryLINK sends back the drying report inside of Encircle. It's the DryLINK drying report inside of Encircle. That's the way that works today. And most of the integrations are similar to that. The Restoration Manager one actually syncs inventories so that you know which equipment in both systems is on a job. And then in terms of exact analysis, the exact scope integration for that, I'm not sure when that's going to be done, hopefully sometime this year, but that one is really cool, and it has strong linkage throughout. And exact scope, by the way, is used for doing floor planning. They have, a LiDAR system in there that's really awesome as far as immediately having a floor plan, which you could then dump all your rooms and chambers into DryLINK without having to type that stuff in. And then DryLINK would sync up the equipment and send all that back, and that would be used for your billing and stuff like that. So it's really cool. But I don't have a timeline on that right now. That's more something to ask Verisk and the folks at Xactimate. And then but the other integrations are similar to what I described to Encircle. Oh, yeah. One to describe exact analysis is a little bit different, just because you can get your assignments from exact analysis automatically, either push individual ones or dump them all into DryLINK. We have that as well.
Awesome. And I'll add, Erin, we got a glimpse of that exact scope integration the end of last year, and a little bit of a walkthrough of that, and that was incredible. I mean, the power of all this integration, of all this technology is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we're staying on the path of open integration and working with everybody. Not everybody seems to be quite as open as we are, but we'll keep down that path.
Okay, a couple more questions here. Can you just review again real quick the expected rollout and prices again? I don't know if maybe you can go back to that slide.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can just go back. It wasn't too many.
And this is what we're expecting. It's not firm. Is that correct?
Yeah, I just did, I put that because, we haven't launched yet. So something unexpected could happen. I mean, I really don't expect it to change, but it could. Okay, so this is, just so people understand, we're basing this on the amount of assets that you have. So you can see it's a pretty affordable for most people at $99 a month. Now you have to remember, gateways are a per month charge as well. So depending on how many vehicles and warehouses you have, that can add up as well. But I think we're the most cost-effective, hands-free system on the market, to my knowledge. So also including DryLINK in the price is a big one. You're going to have access to, our web portal, our app, our drying reports, all of that for this, price here. So we think it's pretty, a pretty good pricing structure. And then this page showing, each gateway has a one-time, $399 fee. And here's the antenna kit for semis. You get 2 additional antennas and the hardware needed to mount it for $199. So, one semi is going to be $399 plus $199. But they're harder to read. We had to really work on that to make sure we could read everything on a semi that was densely packed, but we can.
Okay. More questions that keep coming in. Let's see. Will it be important to complete a job to receive equipment left behind notification? Absolutely.
I will say that we have the idea that we could automatically, like, there could be automation in the future. Like, let's say there's no equipment on the job and you drive outside the geofence. Should we just close the job? I mean, maybe, but for now, yes, you have to close the job in order for that to work. In fact, if you don't close the job, you're going to have a bunch of jobs showing up on your open jobs tab, and it just would get cluttered. So I would recommend closing jobs. And anybody can do it. You can do it from the office in the web portal.
There was a question here about getting a copy of the slide deck. Yeah, I believe we're gonna send out the PowerPoint to everyone who registered. The recording, is that correct?
We actually send out the recording to everybody that's registered.
And then we usually also post those on our website as well.
Yep. And if anybody has specific things they want to contact me because they want access to something or other, I can, just contact me directly.
Let's see. Other questions here. Will you be integrating with clean claims? Maybe address potential future integrations?
Yeah, we certainly can. The tricky part there is they sell sensors as well. So I'm not sure what exactly it would look like. We're open to the idea of that, but I think in our way of looking at it, you would use the clean claims job management, and then you would use DryLINK on the job. I mean, that was what would make sense to us. I'm not sure if they would view it the same way, but we would be open to doing that, because they already have their own sensors. So yeah, but we're open to that.
And then did you also address earlier, there's questions about integration with Mika?
Yeah, so that's been under discussion for quite some time, and I just don't have a conclusion on that. What I would do is I would say anybody interested in integration with Mika would be to contact them and tell them you're interested. That'd probably help move things along. We're totally open to that.
One in here isn't a question, but says, "You guys rock. Thank you for your time." There is another question. Yeah, there is another question here. Let me see. What, where was it? Let's see. We have had issues with the dry phone in basements with low Bluetooth connection rates. Would a gateway in this location be a better solution?
That's interesting. We haven't really configured the gateway to be used as part of remote monitoring. However, we can see that they're fairly closely linked. So I would say we're considering the idea. Could there be one device that really, in some future state, but it's not anything we're going to have anytime soon. So just know that a gateway is not passing along drying data. It's only passing along GPS information, serial number, and all that. So today would not work at all to be left behind in place of a dry phone.
Thank you. Will DryLINK auto create a job if equipment is taken off a vehicle?
That's another possible automation. Today, I would tell you that we don't do that. And part of the reason is what happens if you stop at a red light or a gas station? I guess you said if you take equipment off the vehicle, there could be a possibility for that. But that will not be part of what we have at launch. That could be a future enhancement.
Let's see. Can you get drying logs with the app only?
Yes, you can.
Okay, and that's at $4.99 charge, correct, per job?
Yeah, that's the $4.99 charge, and there's a thing that says send records in the app, and you can actually create a PDF right on your phone. You can send the link. You can do all that right on the app.
And you did address, did you address hardwiring gateway in a vehicle?
Yeah, and we'll get more information to people on that, but really your options, I mean, it's best, it really works the way it's supposed to when it's hardwired. So you can do a Y off of the part of the vehicle where it does the diagnostics. It does not mess with the diagnostics in any way. You can do a Y off of the 12-volt power adapters that you might have, but people get concerned. I would do a Y so there's, so that employees don't unplug it and plug in their phones. Hardwire is always best. So we have a few options. If you don't do any of that, it will work off of battery power, but it won't work in all the exact ways I described.
Perfect. There was one supposition here about using an antenna kit if you have a barrier in a shop or a warehouse that interferes with the signal.
Yeah, that's a good thought, and that probably would work. We just haven't tested that out. We just haven't needed to do that yet. But yes, that's a distinct possibility.
Erin, what would it look like in the system if a piece of equipment fell off a truck or was taken from a home? I think this is more in regards to what would it look like on the asset tracking website?
Yeah, so if it falls off a truck, what's going to happen is we're going to create an unknown location, which is the last place we saw that device. And we're going to say, hey, this thing was read here last. It's unknown. We don't know what this location, we know where it is. We'll show it to you on a map. Here's the location, but we don't know why it's there. So that's what would happen. If somebody took something off of a job, so I'll give you two different scenarios. If you have a dry phone on the job, we'll know within a 15-minute window when it was taken off that job. We won't know where they took it unless some other app is open with DryLINK and reads it. But other than that, we won't know where they took it. We'll just know when. Now, if you don't have a dry phone on the job, we'll just know that it was on the job yesterday and it's not on the job today. That's what we'll know.
Great. Any other questions? I'm going to scroll through real quick and make sure that we answered everything that came in. But if you have another question, please feel free to enter it into either the chat or the Q&A.
And I just want to thank everybody for taking the time. It's been fun working on this whole system. I love talking to contractors. I love getting people's input. We try to build everything into this system that we can. I hope you check it out. The web portal is really cool, and it's going to get, the plans that we have are even more awesome. So we really look forward to showing you what all we can do with the areas that we're developing the technology, which is around job site data collection, and asset tracking and remote monitoring.
Had another question just come in. What is a recommended startup package? I don't know if that's specific to DryLINK itself or to the asset tracking or both.
Well, so to DryLINK itself, and Brandon is aware of this, we have what we call a residential starter kit. It gives you what we recommend. You get 16 dry tags, 6 dry tag RHs, and 4 dry sense. And it doesn't come with a dry phone. You can get one if you want, and then you'd have enough to do a standard residential job. In terms of asset tracking, you're really kind of, you can test it out if you want, but you're really kind of, in or out. And if you're in, you got to tag everything up, because otherwise you got some assets tagged and some not, and it's just not going to work properly.
Beautiful. I
All
don't
right.
see any other questions coming in, but just remember if you do have a question, maybe copy down those email addresses and phone numbers on the screen, or if you have contact information for one of the Phoenix sales reps, feel free to reach out to them. Happy to
Yeah.
answer any questions.
Yeah. And thanks a lot, Brandon, for helping out today on short notice. And thanks everyone for attending the webinar. And please reach out if you have additional questions. And we look forward to, talking and meeting with some of you soon. Thank you.